Welcome back, everyone, to Let's Play Pyre. Let us commence the right against the Tempers. After making all the necessary preparations amid the stark badlands of the Spring of Jameer, you and your companions await the commencement of the rites. It is quieter even than usual in the onset of such events. The lone minstrel now appears bearing some sort of news. I have checked, and it appears as though the Tempers have not yet arrived, Reader, sir. There's no sign of Ignarius or anyone. Their sigil is not set either. If what he says is true, and your adversaries are not present, then you presume the rite cannot commence? However, the stars themselves soon indicate you are mistaken. I guess I'll go through with... I need one more. Get him, Unfathomed Plurnace. I should have brought in Plurnace and dropped the mantle. Who cares how fast they are if I can just slap them. It is much lighter than the burden of a lonesome exile.
Reader, the Commonwealth, your home.
Yep.
Today it is aflame. Much like a stack of books. Aflame because of you. Because of your outlandish plan.
Yep.
Not that you care. Not that you shall live to see this place again. Your attempts at revolution shan't succeed. Though by all means, keep trying. As for myself, I shall enjoy presiding over these remaining rites.
The rites is set to commence, but your adversaries, they fail to show. Tizo wonders if the Tempers decided not to show, knowing that there would not be another chance at the liberation rite. Indeed, as the rites are drawing to a close, some of the triumvirates whom you have met, perhaps they are beginning to decide the stars are not worth heeding any longer. Ignarius, you wonder whether he would give up the rites like that. He did seem rather disaffected, having failed in the liberation before. Perhaps he did finally decide to quit for good. In any case, we have begun the ceremony, so I suggest that we end it.
Who shall it be this time? Wolfred.
I mean, bring whoever you want. Doesn't really matter. I probably should have gone after the Chastity instead.
Tizo. Predictably decided.
Tizo seems rather melancholy about having to conduct a rite against no adversary.
Lo, even your adversaries have abandoned you.
Woo! It's
done!
done!
Wings prevail by default. Not that their adversaries even care.
Wow. My only hope is that our would-be adversaries find some peace.
Boundless are the teachings.
You still
of
get
the
inspiration, but that doesn't matter. There won't be another rite, so we will not have a level 5 member.
My sight.
I think I should have gone after the Chastity. They probably would have been holding out hope. Fack. Well, that'll do for this episode of Let's Play No, I guess I'll take it to the end. Suddenly it's a finale. No one speaks further of the Tempers back at the Black Wagon. Everyone is instead preoccupied with the right to come. Thus does the final chance at liberty present itself at last then. I'm afraid so. Our plan is an imperfect one, yet here we are, faced with this vital opportunity. He looks over to you. Reader, my boy, please go see for yourself. I think we all know where we're headed next, and I suspect I know whom we shall face when we arrive. The others turn to you as well. You turn toward the wagon's door. You know who you should find. Now, however, this time it's come to face it. Look upon the golden star of Solium. Look upon it the final time. Well then, for there are no other stars in the sky. 73% chance of success. Well, there never was much hope. The true Nightwings are led by the demon Orlek. The record against them is 0 and 1. Orlek. You are summoned to the Fall of Solium for your 7th and final liberation rite. Thus shall the cycle of the rites be ended for an age. You sense that if the rites ever shall commence again, it shall not be during your lifetime, or that of any of your companions, even the longest-lived ones. The stars reveal to you one thing more. The adversary whom you shall face is Orlek. He has already crossed Scribe's Gate, and simply awaits your arrival. If the 8 scribes created the Nightwings in their own likeness, perhaps it is only fitting that the Nightwing should in the end be forced to face themselves, or like curse this damnable cycle, that it must pit us against him, and this our final chance. Let us retire for the night. We shall not have many chances more for the rest before our journey's ended. The group disperses as exhaustion sets in. At dawn, you fly to Mount Elodial to make a final effort to achieve your plan and get somebody home, but who? Continue the journey.
Foolish reader, your so-called friends, you are accomplice to their hateful plot. They are exploiting you. You shall never have your freedom.
That's fine. I don't care about that. By dawn, you're already up and about after a troubled slumber. The Black Wagon is prepared for its final voyage to the fall of Solium. No one has anything to say. As you lift off into the skies, the lone minstrel raises his voice, cutting through the somber mood. Reader, a certain old ballad comes to mind just now. I think it may befit the circumstance. Perhaps it may help to pass the time along our flight. Would you mind it very much if we were to play this song for the Nightwings? Oh, right, yes, this. I can't free the mouse, and therefore I cannot make the choice. I just need to get to the God damn it. Just let me. I want to listen to the song. Is there any other way to select? There is no other way to select this. What? No. Oh, good. Yes, you urge the lone minstrel to play this ballad so that all among you might hear it. Okay, if you press 1 or 2, it selects things. It begins without another word.
When the stars align, the rights shall come to bear. Illuminate the signs, the exiles shall be there. All are not the same, but three shall be as one. Freedom in the flame, the end has just begun. Strands may break our own, but twisted make a braid. Together on their own, the journey shall be made. The journey shall be made.
Thank you. I need Tizo to gain favor in this rite. You touch down amid the quiet solitude of Mount Elodial to make pilgrimage to the summit for one last time. There, one last liberation rite shall soon commence. There, one last exile shall regain his or her freedom. All others shall remain to carry out their sentences here in the downside for the remainder of their lives. And in the Commonwealth, the plan of which you are a part of shall either come to fruition or shall be suppressed. Seek the Cur Scribe's favor. After having landed, you join Tizo on an expedition to the monument of Jomir Many Mane for what is likely to be the final time. Hello again, great-grandfather. I have come again to ask you a favor, if you please. My friends, they wish all return to freedom. I was hoping you could help them, just this one last time. I understand they cannot all go home. That is beyond even your power, now that the Titan's stars have spread across the night. Yet, by your leave, I wish to help them this last time. They are my friends. They are my friends. What else is there for me to do now, save to help them? Soon he is finished. You return to the wagon in silence, feeling as though Jomir Many Mane has shown you favor. At dawn, you shall begin your last ascent. For now, your vocations may occupy what little time you have to spare. Tizo has gained +2 presence for the next rite. Accept the blessing. I must mentor a companion. So, what abilities do we have yet to acquire? Safe return? Good. Unstable sapling? Final kindling. Safe return. Or final kindling. Tizo, you've done so much for us and asked nothing in return. Tizo is more than pleased to hear you tell him of the rites. You and Tizo discussed the meaning of the rites, developing a deeper understanding of this contest created to determine the worthy from among all those pitted against one another. A hidden power, a terrible, unbridled fury seems to have awakened within Tizo. All in all, he seems very enthusiastic about it. May you have a safe return. Tizo believes the rites were created with good intentions for those who conduct them with honor. Continue the journey to Scribe's Gate. A messenger imp. The news this time pertains to Lendl, the first adversary whom you encountered in the riots, who managed to regain his freedom when you last prevailed against you. You learn Lendl is now re-enlisted as a constable of the highest status. Under his supervision, the Commonwealth keeps its shining streets free of unrest. Fuck. Lendl's past transgressions since have all been forgotten. He integrated quickly with the veiled leaders of the Commonwealth. As for the accusers, having relied on Lendl's fierce leadership, they failed to agree on how best to proceed after his liberation. You shall never face them again. The creature declines as politely as could be expected and scurries off again. You stand before the Scribe's Gate with your companions. The gate guardian is there as ever, but you sense something different about her. The exiles of the Nightwings. We shall not meet again after the coming rite. Tariq and I, it shall be time we take our rest, I think. Greetings, Celeste. I would tell you that the Nightwings are prepared, though this time I am uncertain anyone amongst us feels thus. We have a duty to uphold, Tariq. And then what, Celeste? And then nothing. Not for the rites, or us. Not till the dawn of a new age. Now, Nightwings, step forward. Please state your names and what it is you seek whilst crossing Scribe's Gate. One by one, your fellow exiles approach her, now with sureness in their step. I am Pamitha Thane. I came seeking my blood sister Tamitha's forgiveness. She ended up here because of me. Maybe something good can come of it as yet. My name is Volfred Sandalwood. I long as yet to see an age where freedom is one's birthright, and no longer are good people such as these forced to contend for it. I am Sir Gilman of the Sea Dominion at your service. This knight's never-ending quest for honor shan't end here, yet first, he has noble duty to uphold. Tizo believes that his ancestors are watching over the Nightwings, and seeks to live up to their legacy. We are called Big Bertrude. We seek to fulfill the plan of Sandalwood, for we are fond of him and his beliefs. And then we will go about our business. Rookie Greentail's my name. Remember me? Look, I just want to get out of here with all my chums and go back to see Mama back home, long as she knows I'm alright. Finally, you step forward once more. You, a crippled scholar who vowed to help his friends be free again, and who managed to come this far with this group. The gate guardian observes you for a moment, and then motions past the archway toward the summit. The 8 scribes bid the Nightwings welcome. Go forth with glory. Except for you, Tariq. You stay right here. I thought you said the rites are not yet ended, Tariq. He looks to her and then over to the rest of you. Pardon me, everyone. I shall be there when the stars align. The gate guardian and the lone minstrel remain together as the rest of you depart. I wonder what it is he said. Yes. All right then. You have gained the summit of Mount Elodiel for the 7th time, the final time in which any one of you shall have the chance to leave the downside. The Beyonder Crystal seeks you. What could you want from me? I have nothing for you, Sandra. Thank you for visiting on such short notice, reader. I understand you have important matters to attend to, so let me be blunt. Please, listen for a moment then. I know this whole affair is coming to an end, all of it. I sense the binds that formed the rites becoming weak, which means soon you will not need me anymore. Not that you have needed me at any point, but still, my services will not be of any farther use. I would love to tell you that this means I shall be free from my eternal prison. For some of my Beyonders, it shall be a release. My accomplices are bound by weaker words than those which have bound me. They shall fade away, I think, and they will finally rest. I, however, I shall remain. She hesitates for a moment. Thus, I have a proposition for you. I do not know where you shall go from here, but I ask you to take me there, wherever it shall be. By that I mean, take this stone prison of mine and keep it. Do not just leave it as all your predecessors have, each time they stay among the Nightwings reached an end. Soon the Beyonder Crystal shall serve no use at all, except to keep me trapped. I am content to remain thus, for I have little choice, but I would prefer to do so in your company. For I do enjoy your company, reader. This may not be much of a compliment, but I assure you that I much prefer your company to an eternity of solitude. I have no wish to see you gain in years, and to eventually decay whilst I remain unchanging, but I should rather have more years whilst having contact. Even if those years are to be brief, they shall afford me many more in which I might think back upon our times. Nor do I expect you to accommodate my needs, for I am well aware I have my limits in accommodating yours. That is to say, I wish you to go forth after this night, and live your life however you see fit for your own sake. May all this right business enrich your coming days somehow, and in considering that life after this night, if you think that there may be a place in it for me, however small, then once again, I simply ask, please, take me along. That way, should you ever wish to visit me again sometime, you could, and I would like to have that as an option, more than not at all. My request here is a selfish one, for there is little I can offer in exchange, other than what little my companionship is worth. Perhaps I could lull you to sleep once in a while. Who knows? You could always try to sell the Beyonder Crystal for a reasonable sum somewhere, or something to that end. There must be someone out there with an interest in this stupid thing. So then, you've heard my sad little proposition. What do you say? Decline with all respect. Agree and do it. You grasp the Beyonder Crystal and set it into the folds of your robes. Sandra senses this and makes a sound as though surprised. Thank you, Peter. She's at a loss for a moment, and then, let us go then, from this place. Go and face your last remaining adversaries. May you crush them under your heel and achieve the outcome which you seek. I believe you will prevail. She disappears into the stone for now. You took the Beyonder Crystal with you. Keep it safe. And with that, I'll be right back. Did you think that I forgot the ongoing joke? I must urinate! My bladder is empty, and that means it's time for one thing. To talk to Falcon Ron. Hey guys! I guess you probably heard the big news, huh? Yeah, I'm going out of business here, I guess. Just hasn't been the same, you know, but with the stars all fading out and stuff. Anyway, just wanted to say you guys are great. Sure, I'm gonna miss having you guys as customers and all that. I got some good news though too. All my stuff, it's all on sale now. I'll throw in a little extra there just for you, okay? So enjoy. Maybe I'll be seeing you guys around, okay? Henceforth, all of Falcon Run's goods are 5% off. Great. Give me the sun serum. Is there any sort of bizarre trinkets that I can use to my advantage? Oh, interesting. Thorned knot. Sunken shadow. I can think of nothing. Commence the final liberation. You have gained the summit of Mount Elodiel for the 7th time. Very few stars remain above to light your way as you await the commencement of the final liberation. The lone minstrel finds you clutching the Book of Rites, seeking there perhaps some bit of wisdom that has eluded you thus far. Reader, we may not have a chance to speak again. After this, I may have to go. I wish to say that I am grateful for having made your acquaintance, and I shall remember you with fondness. I wish you well this night and always. Go forth with glory. Then he looks up and extends his hand in friendship. You clasp it. You see Pamitha has joined you. All of your companions are there with her, in fact. Well, Rita, darling, what do you say we give those old scribes a real show to remember then, shall we? Tiza wants you to know he has the utmost faith in you. It is strange for me to say, given the circumstances of our meeting, reader, but it has truly been a pleasure. Onward, now, let us achieve our plan. Master Reader, it has been this night's greatest honor to have served with you. Let this be our most glorious stand yet. Reading one. Thou art both wiser and less irritating than most others of thy kind. We have learned something from thee, and we are grateful. You got this, chum. You got us this far. No way this is any tougher than what it took to get here. You look upon your fellow exiles, your companions with whom you have withstood the downside and with whom you shall now conduct this final rite. Begging your pardon, but my time has come. We shall see each other soon. He departs. After this night, the outcome of Volfred's plan, the plan of which you all been a part, shall be decided, one way or another. For now, all you can do is strive to prevail against your final adversary, so that one last companion may go free. You rise to join the fellow exiles as the last remaining stars ignite. The stars have joined us. Get that tattered mantle the fuck out of there. 9 Titan stars must be active.
Endriga, the widow.
I know I said I would never invoke Shaq's 6 shoulders, but what are the odds that they will all be banished at once? I would say very low. This is gonna be tough. Somebody fucking destroy me. My only chance is to take advantage of not having the tattered mantle invoked for a change. Having come this far, you need to take the final step on the path to freedom.
For one last time, upon the fall of Solium, dear reader, hear me for one last time. For soon, the few remaining stars shall fade away, leaving you stranded there for your remaining days.
I accept it.
In that forsaken land where you deserve to be. The rabble that you roused here in the Commonwealth shall be put down. The exiles whom you liberated, all shall fall in line. But first, let us get on with this last liberation rite. You face none other than yourselves. Each so unlike the glorious Nightwings of yore. 'Tis a shame that one of you shall soon be free, for you deserve each other.
The pyres burn and each of the triumvirants is present and prepared. But before the lone minstrel can concur as per the custom, not another word. The demon Auralek slowly raises clawed fingers to his mask. The false Nightwings have arrived at last. Long have I awaited this. My freedom once was stolen from me. Then I was cheated of it here upon this mountaintop. You may now attempt to take it from me once more. He stands there for a moment silent, and then Auralek dons his mask and stands prepared. May these damned rites cease forever, for the misery which they have caused. Oh boy! Nightwings, we shall not meet again after tonight, for the cycle of the rites is all but ended. Thus I would have your decision on whose behalf shall you conduct this final liberation rite. The one whom you anoint, or else the exile Auralek shall be returned. Godspeed, reader. You know what is at stake better than I. I have the utmost faith in you to make the best decision and conduct this rite with glory. Nightwings, the star's remaining light grows dim. Your decision, please. It is time now to choose who, if anyone among you, shall go free this one last time. The rest of you shall remain on the downside to the end of your days. One by one you meet the gaze of each of your fellow exiles. Tizo, Ruki, Bertrude, Gilman, Volfred, and Pamitha. Your companions, your friends. Together you have come this far, but now the downside and the rites conspire to tear your group apart and disrupt the plan. Are you prepared to choose this one last time? The pressure is too great. Is there no other way? Yes, for there is no turning back. But with but a glance, you reassure your fellow exiles that you know what to do.
One final opportunity for salvation. Too
Roster
bad
bio
for the rest
updated.
of you.
Auralek. Celestial Spike. Got it. Don't let him fling the orb at you. Long stride, brazen manner, and crushing heel. His presence is still huge. His quickness is still great. Rank electric. But his hope yet falters. Oh, for a second I thought that was a right light. And I was going to be like, what? Carif, you sleaze. Heightened reflexes. Dark vigor. Can he jump super far? No, he can't. Ah, Kisa did not acquire 5 ranks. Titan's Rage, Elusive Nature, and Safe Return. But a Tailwind Crest to improve their speed. Tiso. I need you to be the fastest thing alive. And take the first position.
Tiso.
Tiso is deeply moved by your decision, but regrets that you are forced to choose but one. Choice is cast. As for your companions, you sense a clarity of thought and purpose in each of them. They stand ready to support Tiso as well as you.
Who shall be at his side?
Wilfred, I'm gonna need that big aura. That big aura. And try not to be so hopeless all the time.
Wilfred.
Assuredly, my boy. Besides, we stand against Orlek. It is fitting that I should have to confront him myself. Who left? We have a flyer. Someone quick. Hopefully with a shot of liquid hope, Bertrude will be able to see us through. Thy will is ours, Reading One. Let the remaining stars shed their light upon our ceremony here.
Very well.
Those are to be my adversaries, then. And who is it, I wonder, who asserts his will over that group? You sense Orlek searching for you, almost reaching out to you. You shadow of the false Nightwings. They are nothing to me, but you. You who would relinquish your own liberty for the sake of them. Strange. It is fitting, then, that I should have to face one such as you. Then Orlek stands at the ready, signaling for his 2 allies to do the same. By the light of dawn, the cycle of the rites shall cease. Let us see if we can finish this ordeal before that time. The sky above begins to shudder. The final liberation rite is about to commence. Tariq? I am prepared, Celeste. Then let our song this evening shake the stars themselves. Aye, Celeste. Let us make sure of it. Tiso? Tiso fumbles with his mask. Tiso recognizes Orlek and greets him tentatively. It is good to see. Orlek reaches for his mask in turn. How is the horn? Is it mended? Tiso indicates his horn has not bothered him for a long time now, and thanks Orlek for it. Good. A full recovery then. But it is unfortunate to see you standing there among them, Tiso. Come with us, no questions asked. The proposition seems to catch Tiso off guard. Tiso indicates that he will not abandon his friends on their quest. He seems to be pleading with Orlek to stand down, to listen, to not give in to anger. But Orlek shakes his head. He puts his mask back on. This is something I must do, little one. Tiso dons his mask in turn. He chirps nothing more.
Begin. The final chance at liberation for the age.
I have infinite stamina! You cannot hope to stop me! I will flutter forever! Born among the stars! You wear the raiments once again. I could not simply stand by and do nothing, Orlek. Yet that is what you did. When last we stood together on this blasted mountain, I fell, and you stood. Orlek, what shall it take for you to be convinced? I took no part in your betrayal. Orlek seems to consider the question, but only for a moment. Give me my damn freedom. Just let me prevail here and now. Would you promise to uphold our plan? To bring about a better Commonwealth? I make no promises. I owe you nothing. Then I am sorry, Orlek. My love of country comes before all else. More than your freedom and our friendship is at stake. Your love be damned, Wilfred. We will stand as adversaries then. Oh boy. Yeah, just get in there. No chance. Grasp the orb. I dare you. May the numbing gust protect me, for there is nothing else in their path. Damn. I'm content to wait. What were you aiming at?
Positively brutish.
What? He did that thing again. Take the orb, Wilfred. I never thought I'd see that. The sky rains ash. Soon shall your pyre's own mingle with them. Just then the skies above begin to rain down fire. The final throes of the cycle of the rites and the ending of the age. It is the star storm, the shaking of the stars. Oh, look at Orlick rage. Oh, gee, oh my god. The numbing gust is the only thing that keeps us safe. Crap.
Grown old and bitter lo these many years. Caught out.
Ho ho. Do not land in the mark's path. Gotcha. Holy shit, giving Tizo infinite stamina has been my greatest discovery. No, no, no. You may not. Come from the orb then. Oh! A nasty maneuver.
Cunning trick.
That's fine. All of you, you shall rot. You shall rot as I have all these many years, you false Nightwings, who would deny me once again my rightful liberty. You who deny that liberty to all of the triumvirates you face, and vanquish under the guise of the traditions of those blasted scribes. Come, let us continue with this glorious affair. Later, nerd. Oh! Set and
Seemingly unfair.
spike. Oh, it does not have the orb. Where is it?
Be gone now, Orlick.
Oh boy. Fly, Tizo, fly! If I can get Bertrude in there, I can go in for that big damage. Oh boy. Please get destroyed. Thank you.
Nightwings.
Just damn. But our flame is stubborn. It shall not be extinguished so easily. Ah! Oh boy. I am coming for you. Ow, ow, ow! Thank you. Get that thing out of there. No! Then I shall hit all of you. Oh god. I may have accidentally invoked Shaq's sick shoulders. Woo! Alright, alright. So the false Nightwings bear their fangs at last. This cannot be your finest effort. You think you deserve your freedom more than I? Then fight for it, damn you! Oh, those starfalls are really coming down now. Ah! Oh no! Oh boy. Now I just need to. Oh, he's coming for me. Big Daddy Orlek is coming to take my lunch money, and he's not taking no for an answer. Come on. What? Crap. Damn. I have but a few sparse chances left. Alright then. Stop me. One more score from anyone will end this, right? Orlek stands breathing heavily. He looks back at you on the thick lick of flame that is his smoldering pyre before turning his attention back to your triumvirate. These star explosions are getting big. Just saying. Oh no, that's bad. Ah.
Banished from this place.
Oh, may the numbing gust protect me. If you could not, that'd be great.
Banished each in turn.
Come at me. Just get in there. Volfred! Oh, crap. Crap. Oh, fuck. Catch it.
No.
Come on. Oh, no! Oh, crap. And then he knocked me into the orb.
Somebody get the orb.
Ah! Please stop knocking me so far aside.
Well cast.
Nice! Ah!
A shameful outcome. To each his own.
Seriously, he knocks me so far away. Oh, crap. Bonk. Come on, Bertrude, I need you.
Glorious.
Ah! Get in there! It is done!
The Night Wings proved their worth. An outcome which left little room for doubt.
I honestly think I wasn't gonna pull that off.
Thus ends the liberation rite. And thus, the scribes have chosen.
Tizo is lavishing a great deal of generous praise on you after having prevailed. You look upon Teaser for what you expect shall be the last time you see each other. Any moment now the shimmer pool shall engulf him. Any moment now he shall return to glory and join with Volfred's agents in the Commonwealth to help achieve the plan. Any moment now the cycle of the rite shall end, until at least the dawn of a new age. Any moment now.
Thus, the scribes have chosen. And thus, the scribes have chosen. And thus, the scribes have chosen.
Give the damn what he's earned!
No. Nightwings. Reader. What have you done?
Tizo seems very concerned. All of a sudden, something is wrong. Each prior time upon the fall of Solium, the Shimmer Pool is opened, following the liberation rite and taking whichever exile has prevailed. But now, all is still, and the light of the Shimmer Pool above has all but died. You sense a growing fear that it is too late, that the Shimmer Pool shall not reveal itself again. Orlek approaches, his head bowed. The 8 scribes saved their greatest treachery for last. Then something else catches his notice. Wait. A sudden rush of starlight cascades through the stillness of the summit. The Shimmer Pool has appeared again, different somehow, but open. Tizo looks upon it, but it does not engulf him, at least not yet. I was mistaken then. The 8 scribes, this is not their greatest treachery. It is their greatest jest. The Shimmer Pool flung wide open. It seems that all are worthy now of freedom. Orlek strides towards the Shimmer Pool, but... Halt, Orlek. Orlek glances over the lone minstrel, almost in surprise. The Shimmer Pool has lost most of its strength. You step inside and you shall surely drown. That I can assure you. He laughs to himself at this. Then we've all been cheated. No, the Shimmer Pool is revealed and one of you may still return as planned. But as for who returns, someone shall have to choose, ere the last light of the stars is extinguished. The right should cease to be. This is the final trial of the scribes. The final trial of the scribes. Then our confrontation, the liberation rite, it was meaningless? No. The victor of the confrontation is to be the one who gets to make the choice among those closest to the scribes, either the anointed or he who anointed them. Tizo thinks that this means either he can go to the Commonwealth or you can. Aye, it shall be either you the reader or... It shall be either or. Tizo, please make your decision quickly, lest it shall be forfeit. I do not know how much longer the light of the stars shall offer you this gift. It seems then that Tizo has made up his mind. Tizo chooses you. He wants you to be free. You are free to go. Tizo wishes to give up his freedom so that you may regain yours. Very well. Reader, sir, the choice which Tizo made, or rather the choice which he gave, it is now yours to make instead. So this choice, it just keeps bouncing back and forth like this? That's absurd. It may, until such a time as one of you is willing to accept the burden and the outcome of the choice. That is the trial, and I fear there's little time remaining now. Reader, if you and your companions are too cordial with each other to accept that freedom, either one of you, I shall gladly take it. Freedom ought be more than some flirtatious trifle to exchange. Reader, what is your will? Choose myself? No. As fine a gift as Tizo has given me. I am useless to the plan. Give it to Tizo? That might be the right thing to do. I won't say that it isn't. But I choose to give it to Orlek. Because he earned his freedom 10 years ago. It's the right thing to do. Remember the mercy that I have shown you, Orlek. Remember it. Your thoughts crystallize. You have chosen Orlek. What? Orlek, do you accept the reader's choice, or shall you make another? No, I shall not make another. I accept the reader's choice. I accept the reader's mercy. Then it is done. For a moment, Orlek appears to be at peace, and then he is gone. Orlek regained his freedom. Accept this, for it is done.
Godspeed, Orlek. By the scribes. No stars remain aloft. The cycle of the rites. It is finished. The Commonwealth. What shall become of it? What shall become of us?
Let us see.
Nightwings. The opportunity to gain your freedom from the downside. Was it not enough?
Consider who corrupted the rights first. Consider the tyranny of the Commonwealth. Consider so many unworthy who were in line for succession. It is that all that damned the rights. That night the exile Oralek returned to the Commonwealth. He was to be the last. The stars had faded and the cycle of the rights had run its course. He found the Commonwealth in a state of unrest. Spurred by the efforts of 3 liberated exiles, Wilfred Sandel's revolutionary plan had incited the masses. These exiles in the starless sky portended the return of the scribes. The rulers of the Commonwealth pushed back. Fighting broke out in the streets in spite of Sandalwood's intentions. It was then that the winged High-Wing remnants chose to strike. Allegations that the High-Wing remnants were in league with Sandalwood were never proven. However, there was no denying the result of the two-pronged attack. After enduring for almost a millennium, the Commonwealth had fallen. The new Saurian Union declared its sovereignty in the next year. Among the changes its elected leaders ushered in, they vowed never to cast their people into exile, and they abolished the old Commonwealth decree forbidding literacy. Today, we still remember all of this, and we remember the exiles of the downside whose deeds led to the drawing of our age, whether they returned or not. Behold the many characters! Whose story shall we hear first? I believe Oralek's I shall save for last. Let us hear first of Dalbert, beloved Dalbert. After his liberation, Almer Oldheart was separated from his father, Dalbert, who had cast his son into the Shimmer Pool in his own place. The elderly Dalbert Oldheart, having achieved his goal of earning back his son's freedom, retired from the rights. By this time, the cycle of the rights had ended. Dalbert's time had come as well. Almer did not learn of this until much later. Surely Dalbert would have wanted it that way, would that he could not have seen his son during this vital time. On the night of the scribe's return, Almer became inspired by what he saw happening all around him. It reminded him of his father's words and beliefs. Soon, Almer joined the fighting, protecting others bodily as the situation escalated. By dawn's first light it was over. Almer was exhausted, but the cause had prevailed. From that point forward, he worked tirelessly to continue his father's work as a historian and curator of Kur culture. He ended up providing invaluable perspective during the formation of the Saurian Union, as someone strongly connected both to Kurs and to his own kind. He found that the Oldheart lineage carried a great deal of respect, and was able to bridge many cultural issues between his people as they transitioned into modern times. One day, he was to have a meeting with a dignitary of the Eighth Word, a theocratic sect believing the 8 scribes are more than mortal and their words were divine. Surely the book created by the scribes is more than a fable, but a genuine artifact, though perhaps lost to time, which had grown in popularity since the birth of the Saurian Union. Almer was stunned to find that this dignitary was none other than the one he knew as Faye, from their days spent in exile. Faye was overjoyed to see him, though Almer was unable to bring himself to understand why. Eventually, of course, he did, and they have since ensured the Oldheart clan shall carry on in this new age. Not a day went by that Almer Oldheart did not think of his father, and give thanks to him, and speak to him at morning and at night. Whether the stars yet shone, for surely Dalbert's would be there among them, smiling down at his son and watching over him and his kin. What became of Jodariel? After her liberation, Jodariel soon became an icon of the movement that led to the collapse of the Commonwealth and the rise of the Saurian Union. Her military prowess and experience led to key victories and clashes against Commonwealth loyalists. Each time she was able to subdue the opposition, avoiding lethal force. In the uncertain times that followed, Jodariel's seasoned expertise often came into play both in matters of security and of state. For instance, she conscripted and trained a team of volunteers in public safety. The community did not know what to make of such a cordial bunch at first, but soon came to value their service. They have stood for the people ever since, and we celebrate their founding day each year. She remained close with Hedwyn all through this experience, and they supported each other through their struggles many, many times. She kept an eye on Faye, who nonetheless demonstrated a surprising knack to get by on her own, though Jodariel was always willing to provide assistance, just in case. She continued training on her own, a regimen that grew stricter with each passing year. There were those who sought to train with her, and she sometimes obliged. There remained one other constant in her life. She would always remember her days among the Nightwings, and with fondness, for the most part. What became of Ignarius? Once it became clear to Ignarius that the rites were drawing to a close, he knew that it was time for him and the Tempers to call it quits. But first, he and the Tempers decided to celebrate, and that they did. For many, many nights, the revelry did eventually subside. The exiles parted amicably and went their separate ways. He roamed the downside then, searching for some meaning in his life, sometimes taking odd jobs requiring his brute strength. He never remained alone for very long and took on many lovers for the time. However, he sometimes thought about the one he called Curly Horns and what became of her. Though his glory days as the most powerful conductor of the rites had long since passed, he always enjoyed the fearsome reputation he had cultivated. Udmilda, my greatest failure. After her liberation, Witch Udmilda fled to her native home in the southern bogs, rejecting all festivities and honors she could have received. She was never seen again during the events that transpired in and around the Commonwealth. Some of those with knowledge of the rites and the legends of the downside suggest she willingly cast herself back into exile to be closer to Eastlock. Other rumors suggest that her obsession with pyromancy and the dark arts ultimately consumed her. If she lives, for her kind are able to live for many centuries, there's no telling where. Her repeated threats of the return of Eastlock were thoroughly investigated, and no credence was ever found to any of her claims. And Lendl. Having regained his freedom, Lendl resumed his duties as Constable of the Peace, where he soon had his hands full dealing with the growing tumult in the Commonwealth. On the night of Scribe's return, he was among the few constables who insisted that the people standing against the leaders of the Commonwealth ought to be dealt with forcibly. He was among the first to lash out against the crowd. Soon fighting in the streets erupted all across the Commonwealth. Then the Highwing Remnant swooped in, adding chaos to an already explosive situation. Lendl sustained a grievous injury in the ensuing battle. He somehow survived, and after he recovered to the extent he could, he struggled to find his place in the new society. He eventually learned to read and became a clerical worker, verifying long-lost details of all the exiles cast down throughout the history. He would often look back throughout his own records, remembering his final triumph in the rites. Well then, what became of Tizo then, the demon he so abhorred? Once the rites had ended, the Tizo had a job to do, quite unlike most exiles trapped forever on the downside. The lone minstrel asked that he watch over the Black Wagon, which the Nightwings had used extensively for travel and for shelter all throughout their quest. Tizo obliged, for he knew that wagon, as well as its drive-him's inhabitants, perhaps better than anyone. What became of the wagon exactly was never verified, as evidence of Tizo's thorough work. After that, he liked to while away his days with any of his friends, or else his fellow imps. Sandalwood sometimes called for his assistance, and Tizo was always happy to oblige. The two would often reminisce about their times with the lone minstrel. He often chirped about the Reader and the Nightwings, with whom he built quite a rapport, and the Reader understood him perhaps better than anyone. Indeed, Tizo would often express wistful gratitude for all his time with the Nightwings and their many adventures through the land that was always his home. Other than that, Tizo would sometimes help interpret for messenger imps, relaying news to and from the Saurian Union. Despite having gained significant celebrity abroad, he never let it go to his head, and he would go fishing in the Sea of Solace at every single chance he got. Not a great ending, but good enough. What became of Deluge? All his life, Sir Deluge had fled from one danger only to find himself facing another. He had escaped the war-torn waters of the Sea Dominion, he had escaped the blood border in the Commonwealth, and now he had escaped the rites. After the rites had ended, many exiles wrapped up in the ancient tests were crestfallen as their last chance to return their home vanished along with the stars above. But Deluge did not mind, for this outcome meant that at last there was no burden of responsibility weighing down on him. Having heard that Sir Gilman also had remained behind, Deluge made a point of avoiding him at all costs. Nonetheless, they ran into each other once riding a cold current at the Sea of Solace. The meeting was terse and cordial. Deluge ended up apologizing profusely for mistreating his fellow Worm Knight, and that was the end of it. While most of his fellow exiles of the Pyre Hearts yet longed for the waters of the Sea Dominion, driven as ever by their impulses toward conflict, Deluge settled down. With him remained one of his companions, the Lady Seagrass, who had taken a liking to him for some reason. Reportedly, they disappeared into the waters of the Worm Gulf, which may begin to explain the significant increase in the worm population observed in the vicinity. What became of Tamitha and Pamitha? After the rites ended, Pamitha Thane parted ways with the other Nightwings, stating that she needed time alone. She reappeared after the fall of the Commonwealth, although she expressed mild surprise at the news. She claimed to have no knowledge of what went on, including what role the Highwing Remnants had in the events that reshaped the world on the other side. For her part, Pamitha feigned little interest, making the point that they were stuck, and what happened elsewhere had little to do with them now. Someone with whom she kept in contact was the bog dweller called Bertrude. They would discuss all sorts of matters long into the night, and sometimes hunt together as well. Sometime later, Pamitha had an unexpected run-in with Rookie Greentail, with whom she had spent a fair amount of time while traveling with the Nightwings. Under these new set of circumstances, it turned out the two had a lot more to talk about, and rather more in common. They would often put to the test which one was able to outdrink the other. It isn't clear as to which of them prevailed in that contest in the end. One day, while traveling to Black Basin, Pamitha ran into her bloodthirster Tamitha for the first time since the conclusion of the rites. Their reunion was not as amicable as Pamitha might have hoped, and Tamitha, still resentful of their history together, turned violent. Pamitha would later brush aside the incident, although always had an injury to show for it, yet from that point on, the Blood Sisters were back on speaking terms, at least for the most part. Having long since felt as though she had no home to call her own, Pamitha continued traveling about the downside. As the tempest swept across the land, changing its features, she found in it a sublime beauty, and in the starless nights, she could still see just fine. She said such travels tended to remind her of when she was younger and could fly unfettered. But what of Rookie Greentail? As it dawned on Rookie Greentail that the rites had truly ended, and that he would never again return to the Commonwealth, he took it rather well, all things considered. If anything, he felt a burden lifted from him, as the need for constant travel on a deadline was no longer ever present. Even still, he had a family to support back on the other side, and struggled to find means of helping them, despite the great expanse that stood between them. As it turned out, his quest for freedom helped build strong connections with some future business partners, and the birth of the Saurian Union opened new doors, even where he was. Before long, he had a real business going, created in partnership with Falcon Ron and the Bog Dwellers of Big Bertrudes. It was not the exact life of luxury he'd always dreamed about, but he managed to get by, and his family's debts were all repaid. One of his orders of business was to seek out one of his old companions, Pamitha Thane, to whom he had taken a liking during the quest for freedom. They bonded further over love of drink, and supported one another through uncertain times that lay in store. He also kept in close touch with Gilman, ever the perfect practice partner. They would train together often, taking care to stay in tip-top shape as much as possible throughout the years. Greentail always did his best to keep in touch with all of his many friends, and knew that he owed his fortunes to them. He made a special point of staying close with the group of friends he'd come to know so well during his time in the Nightwings, wherever they were. They shared a special understanding that put even Greentail at a loss for words sometimes. And as for Sir Gilman, the Worm Knight Sir Gilman had elected to go into exile as penance for his failure to uphold his military obligation to the Commonwealth. To him, earning back his freedom was a tantamount to erasing the shame of his past. His honor was at stake, more so than anything. Yet when it became clear to him that he should not go free again through the rites, he readily accepted the outcome, for he knew by then that much more was on the line. He regretted not having a chance to contribute directly to the events that transpired in the Commonwealth, though he was pleased to hear the outcome. The conclusion of the rites and the fall of the Commonwealth made clear to him that his days as a knight had ended. He declared to all those in earshot that he would never fight again, unless, of course, there arose some extraordinary set of circumstances, again requiring him to fight, but he certainly hoped not. He still trained regularly, just in case, especially with his fleet-footed friend Rookie Greentail. From time to time, he would seek guidance from one of his former comrades, Big Bertrude, much his elder, and a wellspring of perspective on his life decisions. He was always grateful for the counsel of the reader, and would regale him over and over about the time they squashed the spawn of unfathomed Flurnace. He wasted no time dwelling on his days under the leadership of Sir Deluge, his former commander. The other Worm Knights stayed well clear of him. Gilman never did return to his homeland of the Sea Dominion, and was content to lead a monastic life on a small residence in the hills. It was just high enough to make him keep striving to conquer his fear of heights. Other than that, an intense daily training regimen and the occasional visit from an old companion was more than enough to keep him optimistic and engaged. He knew by then that honor was not something to be won, but a contract with oneself to be renewed every day. What of Manly? I could use some cheer. When Manly Tinderstaff realized the rites had ended and that he no longer could return to the Commonwealth through this ancient means, he was outraged. He cursed the scribe, spewing forth such a spew of blasphemy as to be very unbecoming of one of his high status and bearing. When at last he calmed himself, he focused all his energies on attempting to find another means of homecoming. He maintained regular contact with his wealthy family on the other side via messenger imp, and used their vast resources to explore other means of escape. He tried to use an elaborate pulley system, he attempted to retrofit a flying black wagon with superior propulsion, he tried an imp raft, hot air balloon, even prayer. Nothing worked. There was only one way to escape the downside, and now it was gone. Tinderstaff bankrupted his family in these vain attempts. At last, such was his shame that he retreated to the teeming woods of Black Basin and Cinderroot. There he yet wallows, complaining to his comrades of the chastity who still put up with him, either about his own misfortunes or the latest news from the other side. and what of Wolfred? When the cycle of the right ceased turning, Wolfred Sandalwood turned toward the starless sky and closed his eyes and prayed. It was all that he could do at this stage of his plan. He aspired to assemble with liberated exiles representing each of the 8 largest ethnic groups composing the population of the Commonwealth. They would stand together as a vision of the 8 scribes returned, inspiring the masses to embrace an older set of values from before the Commonwealth had tightened its grip. With the rites ending sooner than expected, this ideal scenario became impossible. Sandalwood's own freedom, for instance, was now forfeit, but the plan did have contingencies. Word reached him that on the night of Scribe's return, several of his fellow liberated Nightwing stood together, and their voices echoed through the streets. It was vital to Sandalwood that this stand against the Commonwealth be peaceful in nature, but this proved to be untenable, especially after the Highwing remnants appeared. There was speculation that their well-timed assault may not have happened by coincidence, though Sandalwood denied any involvement and regretted the bloodshed. Nevertheless, the main thrust of the plan had been achieved. Sandalwood kept busy after that, as much as possible, providing counsel from afar to those who would be at the forefront of the birth of the Saurian Union. Of course, being stranded in the downside meant there was only so much he could do. Resting assured that the future of the nation was in capable hands, he turned his attention to the remaining exiles of the downside. They might never return to their new nation, but at least they could experience its triumphs and its struggles in some vicarious way. So he took to his old work, writing and printing. As literacy began to spread throughout the Saurian Union, so too did the exiles of the downside take to it. For his part, Sandalwood helped teach as many as he could. More than that, he provided the material to read, a semi-annual report about the latest events both in the Saurian Union and the downside. This periodical gave many exiles something to look forward to. One of his allies in all of this was the imp Tizo, with whom he traveled all across the downside. Sandalwood often cited Tizo as the wellspring of his own enthusiasm for a brighter future. Such was the creature's spirit. He welcomed the company of the Reader and the Nightwings at every opportunity and counted him as a trusted friend and a keen editor. He was pleased to hear that his one-time friend Orlek had once more become a productive part of society, yet he spoke little of their time together. As Wolfred Sandalwood gained more fame throughout this land for all his sacrifices and his contributions, it is said that he remained steadfast about 2 things. The first was that the cause itself ought to remain in focus. The freedom that the people had achieved, it was a gift to be cherished, a set of values that needed to be nurtured. The second point he made was that he himself had little to do with the outcome. He would often praise the exiles of the Nightwings who had stood with him, each in turn by name, and he never forgot any of them. One day, to commemorate his birthday, the people of the Saurian Union unveiled a monument depicting him and the Nightwings as imagined in their prime. While Sandalwood did not learn of it until much later, it is said that he was moved to tears then by the gesture. It is since ensured that those of us with memories more fallible than that of Sandalwood likewise remember the achievements of his fellow former exiles and the cause. Falcon Ron. With the rights drawn to a close, the slug market's revenues fell precipitously, and Falcon Ron was forced to liquidate his assets and close up shop. Yet, as is always the case with those of an entrepreneurial leaning, this time of hardship led to an epiphany, or at least a sudden change of fortune. One day, Falcon Ron had a run-in with a messenger imp, bearing news from the other side. Ron gave it to one of his remaining trinkets, which could not be sold. The following week, the messenger imp returned to him bearing a tidy sum of wealth, in newly minted coinage from the Saurian Union. Falcon Ron cut a long-term deal with the messenger imp then and there. Though his trade remained a gray area from a legal standpoint in the Saurian Union, the newfound fame of the downside caused Falcon Ron's goods to explode in popularity. He later signed an elaborate agreement both with Rookie Greentail, whose own business had expanded, as well as Big Bertrude's, forming a sizable trade conglomerate. Their goods are still known for their superior quality, though Falcon Ron assumes no liability for any side effects. Let us hear of Orlek then. In the aftermath of the final liberation rite, Orlek at last returned to his station, one he had not seen in nearly 2 decades. My bad, it wasn't 10 years, it was almost 20. He scarcely recognized it. After all, it was in the midst of transformation, a social and cultural upheaval sparked by Wolfred Sandalwood's plan. When Orlek witnessed the people of the Commonwealth gathered in solidarity under the black sky there on the Knights of Scribes returned, he looked on in silence for a time. Then the Highwing remnants descended, and a panic quickly spread among those gathered. A pitched battle erupted in the streets. It was chaos. Orlek observed all this, then took a step toward the fray. He knelt beside the closest injured man to him and staunched the man's bleeding, and set an injured leg, then pulled him to a safer corner of the street. Why? Because Orlek is a master surgeon. His old abilities as a physician had not left him during all his years. Thus did he aid as many as he could throughout that night until the danger passed. History would know him as the Demon Doctor, a term of endearment that stuck even after his horns started to recede. He lent his skill and service throughout the birthing of the Saurian Union. The one he had called the Shadow of the False Nightwings was someone with whom he thought often. He knew he owed his freedom to him. Having witnessed the aftermath of Sandalwood's plan, Orlek understood at last what his former companion wanted. Years ago, they conceived a version of this plan. Now Orlek found he wished Sandalwood could be present to witness the reality of it. Alone with his thoughts, Orlek would sometimes visit the memorial to the fallen leaders of the Commonwealth. Though other than such appearances, and notwithstanding his duties as master physician of the state, Orlek led a very private life. Few would have guessed that he was once one of the most accomplished rites conductors in the history of the Nightwings. History, of course, shall ensure that we never forget. So, Tamitha, what say you about these High Wings? Throughout her exile, Tamitha Thane was motivated by a single goal: to return to the Commonwealth and exact vengeance on her ancient enemies. When she realized the rites had ended and that she would never be able to see her mountain home again, she nonetheless remained determined to aid her people however possible. She had gathered certain information pertaining to the intentions of the Nightwings, who had formed a pact to regroup on the other side after their liberation. Other such reports exposed certain weaknesses in the Commonwealth defenses and revealed to the High Wing remnants the opportunity for a risky but potentially impactful strike. Though Tamitha could not participate in the assault, she nonetheless contributed to its success. She later learned her sisters of the High Wing remnants called out her name as a battle cry as they swooped down upon their enemies. Soon after the fall of the Commonwealth, Tamitha encountered her blood sister Pamitha come to pay her a visit. Pamitha had hoped their people's victory on the other side would be a cause for reconciliation. Tamitha was skeptical of her intentions, however, and lashed out at her. Pamitha made no attempt to elude the attack and was struck full on. This cost Pamitha the use of her right wing. Yet, after she recovered, she shrugged the incident aside and said maybe they could call it even now. From that point on, the Blood Sisters kept a formal distance, but were cordial with each other. Knowing that the conflict on the other side had ended, Tamitha retreated to the crags of Black Basin and grew even ever more distant. Those closest to her surmised that her inability to reconcile with her blood sister was at the heart of this, though for her part, Tamitha never once admitted to any such weakness. Give me some good news. Hedwyn. After his liberation, Hedwyn was instrumental in the events leading to the fall of the Commonwealth, and was vital to the outcome of the plan. He was one who led the raid on the stronghold where Archjustice Androboles IX was holed up when the fighting grew fierce. With him, then and thereafter, was one of the winged harps of the High Wing remnants, later identified as Fikani Shan. Their bond was vital to the peace that followed. In all his days as a leader in the Saurian Union, Hedwyn oft confided in his friend Jodariel. Despite her intense manner, there was none whom he trusted more in times when circumspection was required. Hedwyn would often think back about the vow he made at the beginning of his quest for freedom. Although he cherished all the friendships he made, he had pledged to Jodariel, Rookie Greentail, and the Reader of the Nightwings that they might all be free again together. He had broken that vow, for in the end, not all of them were able to return. A terrible guilt that over this darkened his mood for a time. However, the others whom he still knew lifted his spirits, and much like he had often lifted theirs, all of the Nightwings knew the stakes. While the others who stood with the Nightwings were not able to remain in contact thus, Hedwyn thought of each of them often, and so in turn did they oft think of him. Tell us of Sandra. After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, records of what happened at the Black Wagon of the Nightwings became inconclusive and contradictory. Some accounts suggest that the exiles of the Nightwings who remained on the downside continued to make use of the Black Wagon as their place of shelter and their means of travel. However, there is no record of what happened to the wagon's contents, such as the Book of Rites or the Beyonder Crystal, said to be haunted by the apparition Sandra the Unseen. One possibility is that when the lone minstrel took his leave, he took the Beyonder Crystal with him, for he was thus obliged. By this line of reasoning, however, the Black Wagon itself should have been taken as well. Others remain skeptical that the Beyonder Crystal ever existed, or rather that the vision that it granted were anything more other than the result of an active imagination or perhaps a fever dream. The bog dwellers of the southern bogs offer still another explanation, for they are familiar with binding enchantments. If there existed such an object in which the Sisters of the Arch had been expelled for more than 800 years, then the enchantment could have expired along with the light of the stars. What this would have meant for Sandra and the Beyonders is difficult to say for certain, other than it may have meant that they were finally released. Nevertheless, the fates of Sandra and the Beyonder Crystal remain unknown. Yet those exiles of the Nightwings who claimed to have seen this apparition all spoke of her with degrees of reverence, or perhaps fear. Can you believe this, reader? Honestly? Sandra has appeared before you, as well you can see. They are so far from the mark with all this nonsense, I am wont to laugh. In fact, I shall. Well, let them gossip all they like. I merely wish that they would mention you at least in passing when next they're at it. Though they shall never know even the half of it, shall they? Sandra seems irritated by the incomplete account of what happened to her. Humor her. Perhaps making some light of the situation will make Sandra feel better. You indicate to Sandra that the real truth of what happened between you would perhaps make too lascivious a tale to be told in such a format. She makes a bemused sound at this. Perhaps that story ought to get out then, to think that they would put all the trouble to make literacy accepted once again, only to print such drivel. Anyway, let us keep going, lovely reader. We know the truth of it, and that is what matters. She fades into the Beyonder Crystal for now, and you tuck it away safe. Tell me of Barker Ashpaws. Yeah! Barker Ashpaws never had much interest in returning to the Commonwealth, for it was always found its bylaws to be stifling, so when the rites ended, he did not care at first. He soon grew very bored, though. The rites had given his life a certain sense of structure he'd always needed. He missed the raw anticipation of it all. He decided to continue conducting the rites for the thrill of it. He bent some of the rules and replaced some of the objects, but it was close enough. His packmates, the dissidents, proved more than happy to participate, and thus they ran against each other all back in Jamira Valley. Gradually, other exiles familiar with the rites, as well as those who had never heard of it at all, started to take interest. They ended up giving Barker Ashpaw some healthy competition. In time, he forgot all about his old feud with Rookie Greentail and his family. For his part, Greentail stayed well clear of him. Ultimately, even Barker Ashpaws, who had led such a directionless existence to that point, found something of a calling through the rites. Whether he took the rites less seriously than any other exile of his time or more was oft debated by those who watched him work. Tell me of Bertrude. Several exiles of the Nightwings cared more for the plan of Sandalwood than to return home from the downside. The crone called Big Bertrude was a prime example. She had found a suitable environment to live within the dismal region known as Flagging Hands. There she had built up a thriving place of business known to many exiles in the land. With the rites having ended, she returned to her preoccupations, working away, almost as though nothing had happened. When one gets to be more than 400 years of age, perhaps then even monumental events such as the culmination of the rites or the collapsing of the Commonwealth are seen as trifling matters. Much of her efforts was doubtless due to the influence of Sandalwood, someone whom she had admired now for decades. He had made clear that he could not requite her feelings for him, but what could have been a heartful dismissal led only to a deeper understanding between them. She maintained an unlikely kinship with the Heart Pamotha Thane, whom she had known during her time on the Nightwings. They each had different strategies for dealing with life's day-to-day annoyances, a subject that they both found vital, if not fascinating to no end. By and large, Bertrude kept focusing on her work. Whether casting small enchantments or imbuing talismans, the work brought her a sense of purpose, she would say. In the Commonwealth, such services were strictly forbidden, but in the downside there was a real need for simple luxuries, which the competing slug market could not always provide. Thus did Big Bertrude continue to live up to her name, and the tales of her days with the Nightwings made her that much more of a living legend. Let us hear of Faye. Let's end this with some good news. The Commonwealth had never provided a sense of home for the one they had called Faye the Fair. So she was surprised on her return that she was so well treated. She felt uneasy about it, and besides, she knew that she would do her best to fulfill the pledge she had made to her friends. Even she could not have expected the impact she would have on the events that followed, which gave rise to our Saurian Union. Faye stood with the others on the night of Scribe's return. She did not take up arms, but spoke of the Scribes with conviction and sincerity. Others were so caught off guard that it helped quell the danger of the situation. After the fall of the Commonwealth, there was renewed interest in the legend of the 8 Scribes, and many new interpretations of their histories and teachings. Faye found herself at the center of all this. Her way of speaking continued to compel a growing audience. She swayed many people from their astralist beliefs. Soon the 8th Word, which had lost favor with the people during the reign of the Commonwealth, sought her out and asked her formally to join, and she did right away. Through it all, she would wonder how her little friend Tizo had fared. While they were divided now by a great distance, he had always remained in her heart. She cited her relationship with Jodariel as the single most important thing in her life. Jodariel would always provide for her a circumspect perspective and the wisdom of experience. One day, she encountered one of her former adversaries, one called Almer Oldheart, who had served the Fate. She remembered him much more than he did her, though only just at first. Their shared experience in the rites and their different points of view about the Scribes formed the basis of what grew to be a long-lasting relationship. Faye always was devoted to her faith, but more so to her friends. Many people in the Saurian Union cited that her gentle manner and unwavering conviction helped them brave the changing times with courage and with grace. And what of Tariq and Celeste? After the cycle of the rites ceased turning, the lone minstrel bade the remaining Nightwings take the Black Wagon and seek their fortunes elsewhere in the downside. Their parting was heartfelt but brief. He remained there at the summit of Mount Elodiel with Celeste, where the two of them would chronicle the final outcome of the cycle. Neither Tariq nor Celeste were ever seen again. We know all this now through a song attributed to them. Some claim these songs originated in the taverns of the Saurian Union and merely were imbued with the weight of folklore. However, exiles liberated from the downside corroborated each other's claims at having met this duo that presided over the liberation rites. Another folktale suggests these minstrels were heralds of the scribes themselves. Having fulfilled their obligations, they departed the world we know and rejoined their patrons. One of their famous songs describes another, simpler outcome, that the two gave up their duties to the rites in favor of a life that they could share together. In any case, they are likely to remain the subject of such verses and such songs, for it was they who watched over the rites and ushered in our times. In what is left, there is one more account which warrants mention. The Nightwings conducted the rites under the guidance of a reader. Little is known of him. However, some accounts of him begin to paint a picture. We know he was of common birth, weak-framed though raised with a penchant for learning. The journey to the downside left him close to death. It was then the Nightwings found him. They brought him from the brink, and he showed them the path. He pressed onward with the others. He made a vow to help his friends be free. Thus did the cycle of rites commence its final turns. When the final rite arrived, the reader's freedom was at stake. In the end, however, he remained in exile. From that point on, accounts of him diverge. It is said the voice which troubled him, he never heard again. Some say he opted for a place to settle in the downside, though whether that is true, only he can say. Someday, perhaps, that reader's own star shall emerge. Then it shall pierce the dark of night in all its brilliant glory. Until such time, and ever after, all of us give thanks.
Their journey began on a barren waste where the leader arrived,
I shall remain silent for the most part.
afraid and alone. When he arrived, the book of rites awakened the Nightwings and ignited the flame. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in our brain till the end. We sing of the last of the Nightwings who, having broken the cycle, shall live on in song. Headwind prevailed and strode the path that his heart laid before him. He has found his way home. Captain Joe Dariel, mother to many a foundling, she has found her way home. Rookie Greentail, small in size but vast in commitment, he remained till the end. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in a braid till the end. The moon-touched girl hears the scribes in the world all around her. They have guided her home.
Tease all the wise, ever faithful to the cause of the Nightwings. He remained to the end. Sir Gilman the Bold, duty bound to honor the bark dweller Bertrude kept their foes at bay with her finest enchantments. She remained till the end. The reader at last made the night wings whole, having bound them together. He remained till the end. They followed the stars, bound together, strands in a braid till the end. They follow the stars, bound together, strands in a braid till the end. Now at the end, as we bid farewell and return to the stars, we shall find a way home. We shall find our way home. We shall find our way
Well, in the end, it was not the tale that I wanted to tell. But that doesn't matter. It's life, isn't it? You don't always get to tell the tale you want to tell. You don't get to dictate it. It's not the work of one. It's the work of many. Many complex, conjoined parts, the likes of which no one person will ever be able to fully understand. And even though I didn't tell the tale I wanted to tell, I'd like to think I told a good one. Or, more accurately, Supergiant enabled me to tell this tale. In any event, thank you very much for joining me on these enlightened eves. I'm not exactly sure what I'll play next, but I'll think of something. I always do. If you liked what you saw, hit like. If you want to continue the adventure, please hit subscribe. And if you think that what I do is really keen, you can send me a couple bucks monthly on Patreon, and I can use that money to do fantastic, amazing things, like make more videos, start streaming, hire an artist to do cool shit, and do the coolest thing I can think of. Just accept some things. Not the unacceptable things, not the monstrosities of the world, but the little things, the little gnats that annoy us so. Best to be left behind. We don't need them anymore. Good night, everyone.